don't know me, I am Denise Dembkoski, the town administrator here in Stow. I would like to welcome everyone here this morning, especially Representative Kate Hogan, Senator Jamie Eldridge, our Fire Marshal Peter Ostrowski, Emily Byrne from Congresswoman Trahan's office, members of the Stow Select Board who are able to join us this morning. We have Chair Ellen Sturgis, we have Courtney Fresha, and Megan Birchwood-Michael. I would also like to thank all the employees here today, especially those who are working on the cistern project. Sitting up here, we have Chief Benoit and our new fire captain, Barry Evers. This is an exciting day here as we celebrate $300,000 in funding secured through Representative Hogan and the American Rescue Plan Act funds. Grant funds like these are critical for small towns, and these funds are especially imperative to our firefighting operations. Please join me in welcoming up Representative Kate Hogan. Representative Hogan is in her 7th term as state representative for the 3rd Middlesex District. Recently named Speaker Pro Tempore, a member of Speaker Marino's leadership team, she works as a bridge between House leadership and members to tackle the state's biggest issues. In past terms, Representative Hogan served as House Division Leader, House Chair of the Joint Committee on Public Health, and a co-chair of the Elder Caucus, where she was instrumental in shepherding landmark public health legislation into law. Kate is not only a resident here, but she is truly a champion for our town and a great friend. We'd like to thank Kate for securing our earmark in the 2021 ARPA spending bill that makes today and this project possible. Please welcome.
Thank you, everyone, for being here, first and foremost. Thank you, Denise Dembkoski, and thanks to our local and state electeds who are here today to help us celebrate a win for Stow. Welcome to Senator Jamie Eldridge, as always, tried and true partner and friend. He represents the Middlesex and Worcester District. Select Board Chair Ellen Sturgis, board members Megan Birch-McMichael, Zach Burns, Courtney Fresha, and Jim Salvi, Stow Fire Marshal Peter Ostrowski, Stow Fire Chief John Paul Benoit, and Captain Barry Evans, and Allison Toole, Director of the Stow Council on Aging. If I forgot anyone, I am truly sorry. Thanks to our federal partners who played a critical and seminal role in bringing us here today by passing the American Rescue Plan, including, and thank you to President Joe Biden, Senators Warren and Markey, and of course Congresswoman Lori Trahan, whose district director Emily Byrne is with us today. Emily, do you want to just say hello from Congresswoman Trahan's office? So we are here today to celebrate the arrival of cisterns, but also to celebrate the power of government partnerships that allows for effective problem solving. Today's event is a culmination of efforts at every level of government, federal, state, and local. Together, we're able to fund essential projects like this one that anticipate water needs and mitigate climate change in real time. And together, we will deliver $300,000 to fund critical water infrastructure improvements in Stow while helping to build a resilient community for future generations. I am so fortunate to call Stow my home and grateful to have you all as neighbors. This project began with Stow's fire department. The fire chief worked with Stow's water supply coordinator to identify key areas of town that have limited access to water. They developed a list of 11 critical areas in town with the space and demographics to install these cisterns. These new cisterns installed in area of greatest need will protect hundreds of households and millions of dollars worth of property, as well as protecting conservation land, town buildings, our First Parish Church, a national wildlife refuge, a town forest, ball fields, various other public and private buildings and businesses. Our fire marshal today will get up and introduce himself and will explain in more detail how the funds we secured through ARPA will enhance Stow's firefighting water resources. Fire Marshal Ostrowski and the Department of Fire Safety are important neighbors and partners for our town. of Stow over the years. DFS shares a community with all of us, and the Marshal has been so helpful to me personally as a fellow member of the PFAS Interagency Task Force, and has truly been a critical partner in working through the needs of firefighters, fire safety, and PFAS. The Fire Marshal was a career firefighter in Uxbridge, where he rose to the rank of private to chief of the department, and was appointed Deputy Fire Marshal in 2012, and has served as State Fire Marshal since 2016. Fire Marshal Ostrowski is an outstanding and passionate advocate for firefighting health, safety, and training, and a recipient of last year's Hall of Fame Award from the National Association of State Fire Marshals. Fire Marshal Peter Ostrowski is a friend and another partner in government who makes a difference. Fire Marshal.
Good morning. Thank you, Representative, for that kind introduction. I thought that I was going to have to use my double long speech because only every other word was coming through. So, but first I want to just say thank you, Representative, for your support of our Commonwealth's fire services. I know how hard you work for your community, for your district, but I also know how hard you work for our Commonwealth's fire service personnel. And there are so many examples of that, whether it be SAFE or Senior SAFE, the support of our academy and the functions of the Department of Fire Services. You mentioned PFAS and your advocacy for communities, and especially for our fire service community during that recent work. So thank you very much for this opportunity as well. And I want to especially thank you and Senator Eldridge and the Congresswoman for your hard work in bringing us to this point today. These cisterns, as you'll hear, are a critical component to the safety factor here in the town of Stow. And you'll see in today's presentation information about how they operate. I know firsthand about the difficulties of operating in a rural water supply environment for fires. And we know without a doubt that fast first water on a fire makes all the difference. The fire service faces many challenges, new challenges every single day. And as we also know, we never leave our core tenets. We never leave those most important pieces behind. And one example is we still have to put the wet stuff on the red stuff. Access to fire service water has changed dramatically from a variety of factors. Some of those include environmental factors like drought conditions, change of access to water that we currently may have but may not enjoy down the road, or that we had before and no longer have access to. I know that Chief Benoit, the Stow Fire Department, and this community have committed many resources to this end, but this will certainly make them further advance that project. It will provide for better safety for the community, and it will provide for better safety for those firefighters responding to those emergencies. So I want to say thank you to those who made this critical infrastructure investment possible. I want to say thank you to those who had this idea and put it forward and will implement it. And I want to commit our support. As a neighbor, we like to join our neighbors here in Stow. As a brother and sister firefighter, we like to join our brother and sister firefighters in Stow and across the Commonwealth in furthering projects like these and support them as best we can. That's our mission, is to support the fire service across the Commonwealth. Thank you very much. I'd now like to introduce Senator Jamie Eldridge. Senator Eldridge has served as a senator for the Middlesex and Worcester District since 2009, representing 14 Metro West communities. He serves as the Senate Chair of the Joint Committee on Judiciary and the Senate Vice Chair of the Joint Committee on Environment, Natural Resources, and Agriculture, and the Senate Committee on Post-Audit and Oversight. Senator Eldridge has been a great supporter not only of this project, but of the fire service, and especially for those communities in his district. It's my great pleasure to introduce Senator Eldridge.
So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Fire Marshal Ostrowski. And I just really wanted to be here for this. Thank you. I just wanted to thank first Fire Marshal Ostrowski for being here, and I know Representative Hogan and myself and really all Stow municipal officials and Stow residents really just have such a point of pride of having the fire service here at Stow, and extremely proud of the improvements that have happened, not only at the Stow facility, but now the Springfield and now the Bridgewater facility, to make sure that every single firefighter in Massachusetts is properly trained to protect and improve the public safety in every community in Massachusetts. It's wonderful to have Emily Byrne here, the District Director for Congresswoman Trahan. Of course, her vote and her strong support for the American Rescue Plan Act led to the billions of dollars in federal money that allowed the legislature to provide some of these budget priorities and requests from all the towns we represent. So thank you so much, Emily. Always great to see you. And this is really the initiative and the leadership of Speaker Pro Tem Representative Kate Hogan in securing this $300,000 in funding for the cisterns for the town of Stow, working with Chief Benoit, working with the Stow Select Board. And this is one of those projects, in talking to Chief Benoit, is that, you know, often it doesn't always rise to the top of getting funded if not for elected officials at the state and federal level securing that additional funding. So I really want to thank Representative Hogan for her leadership in securing this in the House ARPA budget. I was proud to support it on the Senate side, but really her commitment on public safety, on supporting our fire service, our firefighters, EMS, police officers, and really just all the residents is really a hallmark of her career as a legislator representing this district. I would just say that this is a perfect example of really where Kate really connects local officials and their priorities with what the state can do with our resources, and we're very fortunate right now to have these additional resources, not just due to the work of Congress, but also the revenues are very robust on the state side. And so really proud of this ARPA budget. And you know, what I would just say is that talking to fire chiefs in the 14 communities in my district, talking to firefighters, other public safety officials, you know, often the comment is that when there's a fire in someone's house, when there's an emergency, where there needs to be access to water, is that the time that it takes to get access to the water is so critical, obviously, to saving that home, saving a family, and making sure that everyone's public safety is taken care of. So the idea that these cisterns, and just looking at the presentation, a little sneak peek, they're actually a lot more complex than I thought. But these cisterns being placed throughout the town of Stow is going to make sure that when there's a fire, when there's an emergency, that fire departments have much quicker access to this water supply. So that's really going to make a dramatic difference, and it's making me think about how my other small towns that also do not have municipal water supply, and what are they doing to make sure that there's this reliability on water access. So once again, Representative Hogan, thank you so much for your leadership on this and securing this in the House ARPA budget. Again, very proud to support this, and wonderful to see everyone here. And it's my pleasure now to introduce the chair of the Select Board, Ellen Sturgis, who's been an incredible partner with Representative Hogan and I on making sure that when we learn about the town's priorities, that we can work on that from the legislative perspective, including our budget. Ellen, thank you.
Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. I just want to say first, thank you to Senator Eldridge and Representative Hogan just for ongoing support. It's not just today's event, but ongoing, that you are real partners with us. As someone mentioned earlier, that I think, Kate, you were mentioning that overall leadership and teamwork, that we all work together to get funding like this. So really appreciate it, and not to exclude Congresswoman Trahan as well. So I've been just, working with ARPA. The funds are once in a lifetime, and it's been both overwhelming and exciting to see what we can do with funds that, you know, taking a lemonade out of a real lemon situation of this COVID. I'm just incredibly grateful for Representative Hogan to, as Senator Eldridge just said, taking the lead on making sure that these funds came to Stow. In Stow, you know, as a resident, you know, we have great wells, but as homeowners, it's a little nerve-wracking when you buy a house and your insurance company says, oh, and you don't have fire hydrants? You know, if you come from the city, what does that mean, right? And so, and especially in the last, I don't know, decade when we, you know, I lived here for 30 years and you know, we were used to knowing that the fire department went to ponds, to lakes, whatever, to get the water. And as climate change is showing its impact, those aren't as reliable as they used to be. So I'm really grateful for the chief and the fire department for thinking ahead and for mapping out this plan of cisterns, which you'll learn more about soon, that really will eventually cover a huge part of our town. And that's going to be grateful. I mean, we're grateful already for a great fire department that brings us peace of mind every day, but to have these cisterns throughout the town is going to make a big difference for all of us and add to our own peace of mind. So I just want to thank you again, Chief. It's great to have you in your seat. Still new, but still grateful for your leadership. And thank you all again for coming. And now I'll introduce Emily from Congresswoman Trahan's office.
Thank you, Ellen, and thank you, Representative Hogan, and good morning, everyone. I'm Emily Byrne, District Director for Congresswoman Trahan, and I'm honored to be here on behalf of the Congresswoman today, and I'm grateful to Denise and the Stow Fire Department for hosting us for this exciting announcement, and of course, thank you again to Rep. Hogan and Senator Eldridge for your leadership in the state legislature and for your continued partnership with Congresswoman Trahan and our team, tackling important issues here in Stow and in communities throughout the region. Today's announcement of $300,000 for Stow's fire water resources was made possible by the leadership of leaders standing here today and the passage of the American Rescue Plan, which not only got much-needed relief for working families and small businesses struggling to make ends meet, but also got long overdue funding to states and local communities to revitalize and strengthen their economies. This critical investment is the kind of thing Congresswoman Trahan had in mind when she voted for the ARPA legislation, an investment that positively impacts every single person who calls this town home. And if she were here today, Congresswoman Trahan would proudly say this is far from the last federal investment Stow is going to receive. In addition to the $2.1 million in ARPA funds that provided directly to the town, folks here will benefit from funding on the way from the bipartisan infrastructure law to repair our roads and clean up our drinking water as well, something that we work so closely with Representative Hogan and Senator Eldridge on. The Congresswoman and her team look forward to working with everyone here today to make sure the impact of those funds are maximized so that every Stow resident benefits, just like we were able to do with this project today. So thank you again on behalf of Congresswoman Trahan, and just thank you to everyone for being here to make this all happen.
Thank you, Emily. We're now going to have a brief presentation from Fire Chief Benoit and our newest captain, Evers. So if you'll bear with us for one moment while we move this equipment out of the way, we'll get to our presentation.
As pointed out, I am a newly appointed chief. I've been in the position for approximately 4 months now. Thank you to everyone that made that possible. I would like to express our appreciation and gratitude to Representative Kate Hogan, Senator Jamie Eldridge, Select Board Chair Ellen Sturgis, Town Administrator Denise Dembkoski, Fire Marshal Peter Ostrowski, and especially to retired Fire Chief Joseph Landry. When he was in office, we had talked about this project. We have worked very hard on cisterns throughout the town of Stow. For a community of Stow that does not have fire hydrants, any water source is invaluable. As pointed out, having access to water source is time. It allows us a quicker response to get the wet stuff on the red stuff, as pointed out. We've been working with town planners and developers with requirements of installing cisterns in various developments. However, those are on the outskirts of towns, which does not give us access to the already developed areas. In those developed areas, we do have water locations, but they're susceptible to environmental change, to growth, to access, all those little aspects that limit our immediate response to the water. With this plan that we have put together, there are 11 locations that we sought out. High population areas without fire protection. We looked at the infrastructure of the town, protecting the town buildings, the schools, the fire station, the community center, and then moving out to other areas of town. Working with Captain Evers, we have taken that list of 11 and we put 6 priority locations on there, which he'll cover very briefly. With the installation of these cisterns for fire protection, we were able to reduce the town insurance rating for fire protection. We have ensured a water supply even through the climate changes. We've improved our fire suppression operations, and we have reduced the risk of firefighter injuries, all while maintaining the rustic look of the town. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Captain Barry Evers. He is our water coordinator for cisterns and water holes throughout the town.
I have to thank Chief Benoit for his support and leadership in regards to my role as a water supply coordinator. I've been at this for about 4 or 5 years, and using various techniques, technology included, I've been able to pinpoint areas in town that we are in dire need of water for fire suppression. So right now, as we've all been talking about all morning, the town of Stow currently does not have infrastructure that supports what we would commonly call fire hydrants. We don't have dedicated water supply for fire suppression. One of our biggest challenges during a fire emergency is water supply. Currently, our system relies very heavily on what we call static water sources. And a static water source to us would be the same thing as to you. These are the lakes, rivers, and ponds that we have in town. All these areas are susceptible to drought, weather conditions, and aquatic vegetation. Keeping up on that it's almost a full-time job, and it can become quite costly. One of the advantages to cisterns that we have, or the big advantage that we have, is the cisterns, they are underground. They're not susceptible to weather. They're not susceptible to aquatic vegetation. Maintenance of the cistern is remarkably easy, and the expectations that we have when they are installed is they show up on a truck in pieces and they are assembled on site by a team from the manufacturer. As they get installed, they put together, it looks something like this. All the plumbing and all the utilities that are on this can be custom designed to fit our needs. Those are included plumbing pipe size, such as this, that fit onto our apparatus, which allows us to get water out of this cistern. At the end of each project, at the end of each cistern, the area is almost returned to look almost exactly like it did before. The only thing that we see coming out of the ground are what we have here is the plumbing that comes up, and these are the items that we use to actually get water out of the cistern into our fire apparatus. At the end of this, cars will be able to drive over it. Trees and shrubs can be planted on it to return the area to what it once looked like. It's almost intrusive. I've taken a long time to look at different parts of the town. So in the following slides, I have got the areas where I've decided that these cisterns really need to go. These are the critical points. You're going to see circles on the following slides. In the middle of those circles indicates a 1,000-foot radius, and that's the big number for us. Anything inside of that 1,000-foot radius is directly affected by these cisterns moving forward. So the first one that we've come up with is the Harvard Acres area in Stow. This is critical. In approximately 2011, up until 2011, the Harvard Acres area of Stow was supplied water by a private water company that included fire hydrants as well. They pulled out of the community, the fire hydrants were removed, and we were left with over 200 addresses in this area. We had no fire protection. We have no fire protection. So the first ones would be Conant Drive area, one on each end. We're fortunate that conservation and town-owned property on each end of this will provide us with this. This gives us a big boost in this area, and this is a critical one for us, absolutely. One of the common themes we're going to start seeing on here is any in this area. I've just written on here that it's going to, homes and businesses are going to benefit from this, absolutely. But one of the key points I want to put out is, just like in this one here, this is conservation land right here. This makes it easy access for us, absolutely. And this is a parking area right here, so we can have the dry hydrant head right in the street. The apparatus don't have to go into the parking lot. It's a wide enough road where our apparatus doesn't block the street during a fire emergency also, and this provides us with ample supply of water. This is jumbled, but this is an important one that we've also discovered as well. So this represents 380 Great Road, which is the town building. In addition to that, 16 Crescent Street, which is the old fire station. And also, I have a plan to put one on Common Road, and we've got some construction projects going down there, but that's something else. Central population in town during the day. Large buildings hold significant historical value as well. Police department, the town building, as well as a school just up the street that's during the day has over 600 students in it. This is a very critical area for us. The next one we would place would be the 511 Great Road, this property. At the end of the driveway right here, homes and businesses on Great Road are going to benefit from this, but this one has an added bonus. I would be designing this one specifically for also training our firefighters. Having the ability to train driver and fire pump operation on this property is going to make our firefighters far more tactically and technically proficient in operation of the cistern. So in a fire emergency, we need to know what we're doing very, very quickly. And that's only going to help improve our effectiveness. This is once again Sudbury Road. This one has the added bonus of the soccer fields here in Stow and Pine Bluff Beach. We also have got the federal wildlife area here that we have to protect as well. Wildland firefighting. Parking lot at Whitman Street also. We've got conservation land here that we need to protect. And the homes and businesses on Gleasondale Road also. Route 62, a major throughway through town. That's something that we keep an eye on as well. West Acton Road, once again in the conservation parking lot here. This is another tough part of town right here in regards to cisterns. We have one here, and then there's one further up here. This one here increases our effectiveness in this area also. At the corner of Great Road and Hudson Road near the Lions Field, this is another one. This is a large centralized population during the day. This has absolutely helped us be more effective for those addresses too. The Bradley Lane Ball Field is very close proximity to the center of Stow. The Shaw's Plaza, all the businesses in regards to that. And in addition to that, the town forest down here, 86 acres of land that we also have to protect. This will go a long way in helping us with that. With the addition of these cisterns, it helps our fire department and our firefighters become more effective, operating more safely, and becoming more effective during firefighting emergencies. Thank you.